Totally fair.
Right.
All right. Spoiling.
Yeah.
We're spoiling a lot here today. So if you have not seen the Thunderbolts, I suggest not watching because we're going to be getting into it. And the first thing is the asterisk, man. It was like, look at that. Following the Thunderbolts release, Marvel Studios has revealed the first posters for the new Avengers, which, of course, at the end, they reveal that that's who they are. Marvel Studios is no longer keeping Thunderbolts a big asterisk secret under wraps, as the studio has officially released a series of posters with the new Avengers name front and center. Check it out. Secret is officially out, as Marvel Studios has shared a series of social media posts with posters for the new Avengers, the movie formerly known as Thunderbolts. Might seem premature so soon after opening weekend, but a video featuring the cast revealing the title change clearly taken during the premiere confirms that this has been the plan for a while now. However, you've got a feel for the Taskmaster actor Olga Kurylenko being included in the group shot, all things considered. So, is this an official title change? It's hard to say, but what else are we supposed to think after seeing these posts? Had Thunderbolts been a critical and commercial flop, we doubt that Marvel Studios would have tarnished the Avengers brand by highlighting the post-credits scene reveal. However, with Thunderbolts receiving widespread acclaim and fans falling in love with these characters, why not make the new Avengers part of the multiverse saga ahead of Avengers Doomsday release next year? The exhibitor exclusive posters for Dolby 4DX, Real D, 3D, IMAX, ScreenX, and Fandango have also been rebranded with the new Avengers, suggesting this could be considered as the Thunderbolts' new title. When you search for the new Avengers on Letterboxd, for example, Thunderbolts is displayed, so spreading the word about the name change looks to have been a deliberate effort by Disney and Marvel. There it is. So they're changing this here, calling it the new Avengers. Now, this is an interesting question. Okay, look, part one.
Okay.
You're showing your cards, and you're giving away this big reveal at the very end of the movie, which is the whole point of it.
Right.
And you're going to, if you are looking forward to seeing what the hell's going to happen, and they're like, well, they just told you, so clearly they're going to be the new Avengers, and now the question is, how do they get there? Right now, the other side of it is you had no interest in this movie whatsoever. You're a casual viewer, you don't know what's happening, and the next thing you know, you see posters for new Avengers. It's catchy, it'll get your eye, and you're going, what the hell's that? And then they go, well, that's that Thunderbolts movie, it's actually called New Avengers. Oh, really? How? And then it might get people into the theater.
Sure.
Week 2 is gonna. This is why I think it's. I understand both arguments here. I get the argument of the desperation side of it. I get it. I get the argument of you're spoiling a big plot detail, but I also get the argument of, yeah, but let's see what happens and if it affects week 2. Because if you look and let's say week 2 has a 10% drop or 20% drop because of the new title, you'd have to or you have to assume that the new title had something to do with it. But what do you make of all this? I told you guys I've been really focusing on health. I've been trying to make sure that I'm eating the right stuff. And Factor has made that very simple for me. You got to make it your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Because eating well has never been this easy. You just heat up, you enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh and they're ready to eat. They're perfect for any active lifestyle. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfast, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. It is easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. I have been loving what Factor has been providing to me. Like I told you, I have my live show. I go to the gym. I come back. I have something great. They have protein meals. They have a lot of different things. It just goes right to the style that you're looking for. Because if you want to get healthy stuff on the go, feeling good, you get Factor. And you can get started at factormeals.com/Kristian50off and use that code Kristian50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code Kristian50off at factormeals.com/Kristian50off for 50% off plus free shipping.
I think it's a fascinating decision that they've made here, or campaign that they've put PR-wise. Yeah, I'm fascinated by it because it's just like the chairs, right? The chairs thing that you did a whole video on, and a lot of people made a lot of views off of watching a bunch of chairs for 5.5 hours. You can argue about it, but you can't argue its effect and how many people watched it.
Right.
And so you look at this, and there seems to be a new approach how they're doing things here PR wise and how they're doing things marketing wise at Marvel. They're trying to try new things. So this is the approach they have with Thunderbolts. Put the asterisk there so that everyone thinks it's a completely different team and it's something else. Then you reveal what you reveal at the end in the post-credit scene. It's not even in the movie. It's at the post-credit scene that it's revealed, right? So it's like right at the end of the movie, but really in the post-credit scene where you see them fully being the new Avengers, which is what I'm getting at. And so you wait till that moment. Now you've blown that ending by putting this out there because you're trying to get people to come see the movie. So it could work and it could blow up in their faces because they could be like, well, why do I need to go see the movie? Now I know they're the new Avengers. I just look at them on the poster and I know they're the new Avengers. And they've already told me that they survived the movie. So I just have to focus on Doomsday next. I don't even have to go see it. So it could be genius to get people in the theater. It could also get people not to go to the theater because they don't need to watch it. So they know what happens.
I mean, it's true. Look, the one side of it is, because you just said, well, we know she survived the movie. Well, Taskmaster's buried in the back and she doesn't survive the movie. So we know that.
How many people are crying about that?
Yeah. Right. But I'm just saying, but you look at it, and I think that the point of it is, though, of the movie, yes, you can make an argument that the whole point is them having to work together, learn how to do it. Like, even when they show up at the end to kind of unite to save Bob, it's like, they have to do it together and they have to find each other. And there's that whole, that's why I kept referencing like that whole Inception moment, like that whole thing, because that's Inception. The whole way that the feel, the tone, everything about it was very Inception. And then they need to trust each other and work together. And that is okay. Well, how is this group going to work together? I don't think that the whole movie is about them becoming the Avengers. They're just kind of happen to, by circumstance, turn into the Avengers. It's about them being a group. It's about them being able to work together. It's about
them team, right?
As a team. It's not, but it's more so. Wouldn't you agree that the movie is about them having to work together to find out how they're going to exist as a team?
Of course, yes, 100%. But we have so many.
We want to be the Avengers, know?
Yeah, and we have so many movies like that, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of, well, what's going to make this one different to make me want to get in the theater? And look, the reviews are the reason. A lot of people's positive reviews, a lot of people's positive word of mouth on the movie. You want to go have fun with a movie like this, with a Marvel movie, superhero team up movie, then come have fun with this movie. By the end, they are the new Avengers. But if you're the kind of person that's like, you know what, I was kind of on the fence about it, and now I know that by the end they are the new Avengers, and these are the ones that survive. That's my point here, is that I can see people being like, well, I don't need to go see it because I've already seen team up movies. But of course, completists will want to go, and I think there are people who hesitated going. Now they know that this is actually going to lead to a bigger story within the MCU, and they want to go see it. Yeah.
Well, it's just that name, right? It's like if I say to somebody, hey, I'm going to see a movie right now. What are you going to see? Thunderbolts. What's that? Right. I'm going to go see a movie. What are you seeing? The New Avengers. It's a Marvel movie. Oh, is it like, what is that? It's about the New Avengers. Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, I guess I'll go see it. It's a bankable IP.
It is.
It's in the same way when you're like, okay, I've got
a star to sell it from. You don't have a star to sell it from.
No, you don't. And that's the difference, right? Where you always say, like, if you look at like a big franchise, like Star Wars, you put a big franchise, you say, or Star Wars. Well, we're going to put Ryan Gosling in it. Great. Yeah. It's good. It's Star Wars with Ryan Gosling. That's cool. And then if you put someone else in there, it's like, oh, well, great. That person, it wasn't Daisy Ridley that was selling it. Daisy Ridley became a star because of Star Wars, right? Yeah. And the Thunderbolts, it's like, well, what do you know what the Thunderbolts is? It's a Marvel movie. Oh, like the Eternals? No, it's not like the Eternals. We swear. And it's like the Avengers, new Avengers. Like, oh, who are the new Avengers? It brings a mystery and potential excitement about it. Plus, then you go, let me go look at the new Avengers and see what that's doing pretty well on Rotten Tomatoes. People say this is pretty good. Maybe, hey, there's a new Avengers movie. You want to see the Avengers movie? Let's go see the Avengers movie. That could help. It could backfire, like you said, but it could help.
Yeah, it could go both ways. And by star, I hope people understand. I mean, like, Florence Pugh, Sebastian Stan, they're not putting butts in seats like Tom Cruise and all that. So it's like you've got two really great actors, arguably, and they are stars.
They're on their way. This should make Florence Pugh a big.
I hope so.
She carries the movie for sure, and she's like she's phenomenal in it. And I guess that can get us into the beginning of this movie, where it really starts off. You see it quick that it's her story from the second. I am curious in the trope where they just did this on you. like I'm not going to give a full Last of Us spoiler thing because that's not what this episode is, but they do the same type of thing that I guess it's a minor spoiler. So, but kind of there's a character that they're setting you up for, like they're talking to someone, but you know something else is going down. How about that? That's it's not that too big of a spoiler, but that's the same thing that but it's predictable now because everybody's doing it. It's not like, oh, you never really believe, like when she's showing up and she's like talking to someone, you're like, oh, she's clearly talking to someone that is either chained up or beat up or whatever. And it's a funny moment, and it's not to take it away. I don't think if they're trying to trick you that she's actually talking to somebody, it's not working.
Okay.
But if it's more so like you know what's coming, wait till you see it. And it gets pretty violent, and she winds up killing the scientist and everybody else in the room, and she doesn't.
Right.
She's bored. She's bored at her job, and who hasn't been there?
Right.
You know, so and the fact that she wants purpose. So, what do you think about like the overall opening?
I thought it was great. You know, the energy they brought from the beginning is one of where we've been with Yelena through the Black Widow movie into Hawkeye, and so we've seen her, and we've seen what Florence Pugh can do with that character, and so starting with her now, dealing with the ramifications of everything that came before, which I like. It's a continuity thing, right? I've lost my sister, my dad hasn't talked to me in a year, which we find out. She's unhappy with her job because she's being used by Valentina, which is, we saw that in the post-credit scene where she came up to talk to her, and so we have all of these threads that lead us to this moment here at the beginning. But like you said, there's a universality here. Now, of course, there's mental health stuff here as well, because she's clearly depressed. She's in a depression. And so people who understand depression, we know that the things she's talking about can lead to darker places. But for people who don't have those impulses to go in depression, yes, you feel, everyone has that moment, or most people have that moment where they're working a job that they're good at, but they hate doing the job.
They feel bored.
It's not satisfying, and they're bored. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And I think and I saw some people who had commented on it about the fact that, like, I didn't need a mental health thing. I didn't want to. It's like it made the characters real.
Yeah,
it made them real. You made it. You're like, oh, I get it. I understand what they're going through. Like, it's not just they're not just superheroes kicking the shit out of everybody. They got things that they're going through, and it's like you would get like the PTSD. Nobody had a problem with Tony when Tony was going through all the shit he was going through. When he was going through the mental health stuff in Iron Man 3 and all that too, after the PTSD he had from New York, that was always there too.
Not even Endgame. They're all dealing with the loss of everybody from Infinity War. Yeah,
100%. So to show that she's just kind of empty, and what they stayed consistent with, and that's why I said it was so important for people to see the Black Widow movie. And I don't think that's really a great movie, to be honest with you. I think it's like average at best. But it's her relationship that stays consistent, because she is the only one, when you watch that movie, she wants that family to be real.
Yes.
She's holding on to it, and she looks upon Natasha as her sister. She looks upon those two as her mom and dad. And it's consistent in this. She's looking for the relationship with Lexi. She's looking for she calls him dad religiously throughout the whole thing. The scene with him and her, when he goes chasing after her down the street, it was great, because it gave a different layer to what David Harbour was doing too, because he does the whole, look at me, I'm the red, whatever the hell he is. You know, he's like, the Red Guardian, and he's like, look at me, I'm great. And that's hilarious that he does that stuff, but you need more to him in order for us to care. And that scene did that.
Well, and they built to that scene because you had different scenes with him constantly trying to elevate her, support her, because like when she comes to visit him at that place he's living in, you know, he says, your light is dimming, your light has dimmed. And when he picks them up in the limo, which is a hilarious dad don't embarrass me moment.
It's hilarious.
When they're in the limo, he says to her, your light is brighter, you're shining brighter. So he knows her, even though he admits to her in that scene later on, as you were referencing, that he is terrible at being able to be there for someone. He is always supporting them, even from afar. And so in that moment, he gets the chance to be just like in Black Widow, when he went in there and sang American Pie to her to help her out. And you bring up a great point, Kristian. The reason she wants this family to stay, the reason she hungers for family, is because it was ripped away from her at a younger age than it was Natasha. Like Natasha was a teenager, or becoming a teenager so she was a little more mature when it was ripped away. So she had a little different perspective. Yelena was much younger, so there is something that was ripped away from her, and then she was thrust into the Red Room, and we saw her memory. So all of that carries into why she feels the way she does about the situation, why it affects her more than it does Natasha. Or
Yeah,
did.
and even the fact when she goes to visit him and he thinks the scene that they put out in the trailer, they thinks it's DoorDash and they have this whole thing. He's like, oh, I'm doing great, everything's fine. And it's a good setup to eventually what comes, because when she, and I think we both talked about this and agreed, it's the best that Julia Louis-Dreyfus has been in this
100%.
series, because they gave her more.
100%.
Also, even when you talk about that, when you see after Sentry goes into her mind and you see the backstory of the shit that she went through when she was younger with her father, I love that element. It made you understand all the stuff that she was doing. And it really is, and why I think that, going back to our previous conversation with the New Avengers thing, it really is the warped version of the Avengers. I mean, you look at, she's the anti Nick Fury, she's the opposite of the kind of Black Widow. You got Captain America. You have all this and this crazy shit that's going on with this team. I mean, I guess I don't know who. I guess there's like 3 Captain Americas really. You got David Harbour, Sebastian, and Wyatt Russell. Who again, Wyatt Russell? What they do with him, and it's the best that he is as Walker. They give him more layers, and it made you like John Walker is what they did in this one, which is really smart, because that's stuff that he's bullshitting about his family, and what he's been going through, and the volumes of and the levels of questioning himself, and then being neglected kid and the whole time.
I'm just amazed at people, because I saw some people coming after John Walker, the character, like, oh, he's a deadbeat dad, he's a this or that. There's a great line, right? What is it? Those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. I don't think anybody should be judging these characters for having like real life things occur in their lives. You know what I'm saying? It's different if you're judging someone who's like a mass murderer. That's a different situation. All right, this guy killed a terrorist who had killed his friend, and he lost control in that moment. And in that moment, he is paying for the loss of control since that moment. And you see him doom scrolling, which is terrible for anybody to do. I speak from personal experience. And it's affecting his relationship with his wife, with his child. Those are real world things that people go through. So people going on Twitter who apparently have never committed a sin, never did anything wrong in their real lives, coming after him and denigrating him, I thought was just mind-numbingly stupid. All of these characters have something they're overcoming, which makes it a universal movie, because we all have stuff we have to overcome every day sometimes in order to function or feel happy or find our way through life. And so that's what was important with all of these characters.
I don't think you're wrong, but I think that from what I saw, majority of people were in support of him. But
I've seen some other ones.
Yeah, of course. But what's funny is that Ghost is also way better in this movie than she was in Ant-Man 2. However, I would have liked to seen some scenes with her.
100%.
And I get it. You're like, well, you already saw her story in the second movie in Ant-Man 2, and we know her whole backstory because of Lawrence Fishburne and all that. And I understand that, but I just think she needed a little bit more.
Right.
She was the only one I thought that wasn't as layered. She's great. She's great in the movie, but she's not as layered as you got. Everybody else had more layers to them in this one.
You could argue that Yelena Belova, we've seen a lot of her already, but still they put a scene in this movie with her going back to that moment where she tricked a classmate of hers from the Red Room to be killed.
So it was massive.
We didn't need that, but it was necessary for the arc they were telling with her. So I agree. Ghost needed one as well, because Hannah John Kamen is a damn good actress. I've been watching her in British stuff for years. So the fact that she got this role, I thought was great. The fact that they fleshed her out in this movie was great, but give her more to do. She can handle it. So I hope they do in the future do that. But I agree with you. We should have seen some backstory or scene with her that affected her,
Maybe we will. I don't know. But then Taskmaster, like the only problem, what's funny is so that scene, and I loved it. I love that Valentina's trying to basically get everyone to clean up all the dirt. So she sends them all in to kill each other. Great scene. Yeah. Absolutely great scene. Gives them all clearance to get into this place, and they're all going after each other.
It's amazing.
It is. And then when Taskmaster gets shot, I automatically said, oh, she's dead, because some stupid publication on Twitter, whatever it is, a surprising death in the beginning of I'm like, what are you doing? Wait until the fucking movie comes out. What are you doing? So, and even so, like but that type of thing. So I knew, I was like, whoa, they guessed it, because I would have said, oh, they're gonna have her come back, but I knew she was toast because of that article. And it was ballsy thing to do because, and I also liked yes, there was an emotional attachment to Elena because she knew what that woman went through.
Yeah.
As a Black Widow.
Right.
But they didn't spend too much time grieving on it. They said, that sucks. And they didn't make Ghost feel bad for it. They said that was what she was here. We're all trying to do that to one another anyway.
Yeah.
Sucks that happened. Sucks that that maybe that's what they could have done with Ghost. Maybe she could have had a little bit more guilt over it because she realized,
Yeah. Well, apparently there was apparently they were seeing the rumors that were seen, what I've seen online, they were seeing shot with Ghost where she had more Taskmaster had more to do with the movie, and where she was constantly going through amnesia, like she was forgetting stuff, short-term memory loss. And so every time she would forget her memory, she would try to kill John Walker. So that was kind of because that was her last assignment. So that was a thing that apparently was running through the movie, and they eventually axed it, and they have her do that one scene. So a lot of people are like, oh, why did Olga come back for just to show her face for 7 seconds? And it was like, no, I think there were more scenes that were shot with Olga, but in the end, they decided to kill her off and adjusted the film in that manner. And that's why she hasn't been part of any of the promotional stuff. I think she did show up at the premiere because why not? You might as well, you got to work the system as an actress.
Sure.
But I think there was more here. They just decided to kill her off because I think Feige, this is a preview of Feige. He's going to start culling a lot of characters before we get into, as we go into the new phases. Like,
you got to clean some stuff up, man.
That's what he's going to do. And so we like, enjoy, they're going to be killed. Yeah.
And even when I say, because look, we just talked about how we thought Ghost needed a little bit more development.
Yeah.
If you kill off Taskmaster, you don't have to give her any more development. She did.
Exactly.
Right. So,
for better.
And what the most important thing is, it's not these characters. You got to make us care about Sentry. You got to make us care about Bob. And they did it. And they really did. And Lewis Pullman was fantastic. He was fantastic because he gets you to that point when you see him and you're like, all right, this guy's awkward. He's really part of this program that they talked about, that she was talking about with her assistant. And then you see kind of, okay, he's trying to figure out what the hell. He's basically just almost like Vision. He's like, you can look at him as Vision, Thor, and Hulk kind of wrapped into one because he's kind of created that particular way. He can't control it, and when it is, it's like the most powerful thing ever. Like, how the hell is Doom going to fight that thing?
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see. And I love that they respected the fact that he came, with the mental health stuff. That is a big deal for his character in the movies, in the comic books. They didn't add that in the movie. That is a big, big deal for him in the comic books. And that's what makes his power so unsettling, because when he's level-headed and he's, in a good place, he's incredibly difficult to destroy. And I love the scene where he's like realizing that he is a god through what Valentina said to him. He said, well, you said I could beat all the Avengers at once, and Thor is a god, so I might be a god. And so throwing that in the mix, I thought was really interesting and chilling. So, and Lewis did, like you said, Lewis did a fantastic job navigating this unsettled kid who
recovering
addict who has issues from upbringing with his dad and whatever, and the vacillation between delusions of grandeur and horrible bouts of depression. So having that all be a part of it and giving that kid power, it's a scary nuclear weapon you've created inside of a human being. It
just shows you how crazy Valentina and all the rest of them are, because if you give an ex-meth addict a knife, you should be scared. Imagine giving them this. And it's like, and dude, when he goes back in that chicken thing, it was like hilarious, hilarious and scary. Like really eerie the way that they did that. And I loved the non-traditional ending with him. It's like because what you could have done is just the same old thing where they all have to go up and they're fighting them and they're doing all that, but like they can't fight them. They have to mentally go in there. And it also shows, because I didn't know where they were going to go. I was like, okay, what are they going to do with Sentry now? And it's like, oh, Lewis Pullman's gonna be kind of one and done. And it's like, no, they really did transition him into this Bruce Banner type guy where he's like, I don't want to control this. I got to be. I want to control this. I want to be careful. I don't want this to. Like, and he even says in that post-credit scene, like, we don't want that to happen. So I'm staying calm. But it was that whole buildup, and you mentioned not only him being an addict, but like the abusive family that he lived in, and even that it was so like you felt for him, where he's like, this is the most peaceful room in this whole thing. But you got to go through this part of it for a second. It goes away, and then it's like, you just feel for it. I like how dark the movie went at times.
Me too. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was gutsiness. And, Jake Schreier and some other people have been, being part of the Marvel campaign saying, oh, it's an A24 movie. And they were joking about it because it had some people who were involved with A24 movies. But I saw one reviewer, I think it was in the Vulture, say, like, this is a film that is as close to A24 as you're going to get within the larger Marvel universe. And I thought that actually does work in terms of the explanation, because they do go a little deeper into mental health than you might expect for a populist film, a populist brand like Marvel to do. And I really appreciated it. And as someone who does suffer and has suffered mental health issues in the extreme way, in extreme manners in times past, I thought they honored it really well. Could they have gone deeper? Could they have done more nuance, more specificity, more complexity? Sure. But this is not the tableau for that. This is not where you want to do that kind of conversation. Because you're still trying to appeal to a 4-quadrant audience. So to me, I thought they did it in a way that was respectful and honored people who do suffer that kind of stuff. And remember, this is just his first instance with it where a group steps forward to navigate him out of it. I saw some people going, well, it was resolved too quickly. Well, he's never had people step up, walk through the darkness for him and hug him. That's huge. Now, the next one is going to be more ferocious, because anyone with mental health issues will tell you, just because you solve it the first time it happens, the second time it happens, or the third or fourth time, it'll come with much more ferocity because it kind of adapts. Because your mind.
Look what happened with the Hulk. The Hulk couldn't control it right away. The Hulk is the same thing. The Hulk was, I mean, even when you look at when Wanda got in the Hulk's head and everything that, you control it for a little bit, but then one little episode or something too, and you look at remember when his eyes were all red and Tony was trying, and that whole the place just got wrecked because there's only so long you can control it.
Yeah.
And that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. It is. And speaking of Hulk, is Doom going to use Sentry the same way that Loki used Hulk? It's like,
it's a good question.
And I guess that kind of leads into, there's more stuff to discuss as far as the overall movie, because like you said, Bucky's another one. Bucky's Terminator entrance was the best.
That was amazing.
Yeah. And what he's trying to do, and I like that he's trying to invest. He's still that same guy. He's the guy who's trying to do right now, and he's trying to figure it out, and he's using the assistant to try to figure out, okay, can I infiltrate here? Can I take her down? And who are these band of idiots that I have to go after? Because when he shows up and he just wipes everybody out, and they're like, yeah, Bucky, and then he takes them out too. That was a great moment. And then like I said it, there were some moments where the humor didn't work. There are other times that it did, and I thought the stuff that did work is when he's on the phone and they're telling Bob, like, great, because it's like, okay, we've been telling you, man. And then they had that Die Hard moment when they were all together trying to get out, and they're doing the thing up there's like so many memorable moments in this movie.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I love the fact that he's washing his arm in the dishwashing machine. I think that was hilarious.
That was good.
It's a nice little twist there. But also, he's also involved in that scene where Sentry fully shows you his powers. He rips off Bucky's arm and beats him with it. Like, that is scary, and then tosses it away like it's nothing. But yeah, Bucky again, and someone mentioned this last night on our spoiler review on the Geek Buddies, that like Bucky is one of the 2 characters that has been a through line through all the phases, right? Like Loki and Bucky, I think, are the only 2 that are all the way through these phases. And I think that's speaks volumes about how much Marvel had values both of those characters, and how they've grown in their estimation of Bucky recently over the last few years, because he's kind of a low-key Tony Stark. They toss him into these series and movies, and even the voiceover stuff with What If, Sebastian Stan is happy to do all of it, and he delivers a great performance every time he's in there doing it. And this movie was no different at all.
I agree with you, and I think let's just dive into like the post-credit scene.
Okay.
Because we get the first one, which it's hilarious that they put up the thing with the Red Guardian, and he's out there. He's trying to show him he's loving the success, and he's trying to get his flowers, as they say. And
let me ask you something. Do you think he's the Paulie of the MCU universe? Like, Paulie was always coming up with stuff in Rocky to like make money off Rocky.
But yes, but he's not as angry as Paul.
No, he's not as angry. No, you're right. He's not. He's a much more jovial guy.
Yeah. He's more. I think he's more like Rob Schneider. Hey, look at me. He's hanging out with Adam Sandler and everybody too. I think that, but he's way more jovial for sure.
Yeah.
but I think he's doing. I think it's a fun scene.
Yeah,
It's a fun scene in general. Oh yeah, someone mentioned too, like when she calls him Santa Claus and everything too. It's like it's great. Like that whole moment when you really get to see what Sentry is capable of because there is that kind of like he's like Superman, and he's just there's nothing that they can do. I mean, he just bitches Bucky.
It's scarier than any dark moment in the movie.
Yeah.
Seeing the speed, ferocity, and just utter not a big deal approach he has to dispatching the entire team.
Yep.
It is unsettling, man.
Yeah, and then when he starts because what's great is that when he starts taking people out and you see that crazy shadow and that effect was just so good. Once because you think, oh, he's killing everybody, but once Yelena does it, obviously, like, oh, okay, well, everybody's not dead. He's just putting people in this kind of realm and showing them their darkness, because then that's how they're able to ultimately save it.
Right.
But even her plan, Valentina's plan of like, well, I'm going to expose them, and then realizing and shifting on a dime, going, no, actually, I'm going to use you guys, and I love that scene at the end when they reveal it, and Yelena's like, we own you now.
Yeah, that's what Bob says to her. We own you.
Yeah. No. Yelena says it to her.
No. They say it to Yelena. Oh, Yelena says that. Right. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant Valentina. I got confused there.
Yelena says it to Valentina.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, and she's like, "We own you now," and you're like, "You damn right you do," because and now that they're this whole team. So then you got that first scene. Then the second scene, which they've confirmed. The second I'm watching that scene, I'm like, "This is not the same director that directed this."
Yeah,
I said the Russos clearly directed this scene. It was very similar to me, like Civil War. They've done this before. They did this with Civil War when it was Bucky, kind of chained up, and Falcon and Cap are there, and then you see this. So I was like, they're putting this scene is going to be in Doomsday.
Yeah,
clearly, and it's going to be when Fantastic Four shows up and all that, and it could be probably the beginning of the movie. It might even open up the freaking movie, because they just started shooting. So this is probably the first thing that they shot during it. And I liked it because again, you see that dynamic, and then you find out. And you probably see this type of scene in the movie also, that Sam is not on board with this.
Right.
A lot of the people in the universe, or the world rather, are not on board with this, and it's conflicting. Who are the real Avengers? And then they've got to do. So you're going to have two different teams here. I wonder who his team is going to be, because right now I like this team.
Yeah,
and I don't know if there's who. Shang-Chi, probably.
Shang-Chi, yes, absolutely.
Kate Bishop, probably.
Yeah.
You're probably going to, I mean, you got to be careful with getting too many kids.
Yeah, because that's Young Avengers. That's a different Avengers team.
Different, right. So, and is Tom Holland part of his Avengers? Because that's
maybe.
That's a big all-star. That's you got to really recruit now in order for us to care, because we're coming off of this and we care about this team, this new Avengers team.
Yeah. Would it be 4? Are you going to is Black Panther? Which Black Panthers are going to be? Is Ant-Man part of the team?
I assume him and they're tight, so I would assume Ant-Man.
Yeah,
they have history,
right?
So it's going to be. So someone says Shang-Chi, Thor, Captain Marvel, Hulk, Wong, and Ant-Man. That's possible. Doctor Strange. I don't know. I don't think Wong or Doctor Strange are going to get involved with the Avengers, though. I don't
think Captain Marvel is going to get involved with the Avengers either. She's very much her own thing, man.
She's her own thing.
She would lead the team, which a lot of people would be upset about. So I don't think they want to do that.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to play. Yeah. But the way that they do, and then they show the Fantastic Four kind of coming in and breaking through. So clearly, the events of Fantastic Four are going to play into Doomsday as we expected.
Right.
And that does give you that kind of hype of, all right, well, now I guess I really got to see what the events are going to happen in Fantastic Four. We have one of our loyal viewers, E. Roberts, who says, he's been trying to bet me that he's thinking that Thunderbolts is going to make more money overall than Fantastic Four. He said he's out of his mind, especially now. There's no world where he still thinks that. If he does, I'd be very surprised. But especially because of Thunderbolts, those people who saw everyone who saw Thunderbolts is going to want to see Fantastic Four. Plus, the people who didn't see Thunderbolts are going to want to see Fantastic Four.
Right. Oh yeah, they might make the 156 in the opening weekend. It's a very which just, 156 domestically, which is what their worldwide total is for Thunderbolts on opening weekend. So I think that absolutely. I like the way it ended, and I like that it poses a little bit of strife here between old buddy Sam and Bucky.
I know.
You know,
Yeah, you would assume that they were going to be on the same page, but for some reason they're definitely not. So he was probably trying to stick up for the new Avengers, and Sam wasn't having it. So you got to have that scene.
This is 14 months later, so you know they've had all this time, and as you said, headlines are scoffing at this new Avengers team, and so again, they're going to have to all overcome people's expectations about them or judgment of them in order to prove themselves. So that's going to be interesting. Sam's got his Avengers team. Young Avengers is apparently coming, and don't forget about West Coast Avengers, right? There's the White Vision show that is coming. What is that show going? Vision Quest. What is that show going to do? Are they going to bring Hawkeye, who is part of the West Coast Avengers? Are they going to bring other people to be part of West Coast Avengers? So it might be 4 Avengers teams here that we could be looking at by the time we get to Secret Wars. So it's very
a lot to cover. That's a lot to cover in Doomsday. You don't really have much time to set that up. Like you just don't. I mean, 'cause you can't set that up in Ironheart. You can't set that up really. You didn't set up anything in Daredevil.
You might in Vision Quest, but we'll see. You know,
you might, unless you have those other Avengers come. I don't know. It's like
Wonder Man is part of West Coast Avengers, and Wonder Man series is coming, and Wonder Man is already. They said his name, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, there on the chairs. So
it's going to be interesting to see how they play that because. Yeah, I don't want to see them spend too much time on like who's the real Avengers storyline when it comes to like you got to set up Doom. Like you got to set up Doom. I want to see what they're going to do with him. So,
do you think he's going to be a big part of Doomsday, or do you think he's going to be?
Yeah, I think he's going to have a quick scene at the end of Fantastic Four,
and then all of it is going to be. Doom.
But I don't think you're going to see Downey's face a lot. I think you're going to see it. I think in the first movie, in Doomsday, 15%. I think the majority of the time he's going to be in the mask. Causing havoc. You want to make him intimidating? That's how you do it. You don't have him running around with the Stark face for the whole movie because it's just going to be a thing. I think 15-20% of the movie, maybe you have the majority of the movie him running around in that mask.
Yeah, no, I know it's called Doomsday. I know people are like, well, of course you're gonna make a rule. Yeah, I know, I get that. What I'm getting at is they've got so much to set up. So how much are they going to spend setting up Doom, and how much are they going to spend setting up all these other people who are going to be lining up again?
Wouldn't you be pissed off if the movie's called Doomsday and you barely have a minute?
I wouldn't put it past Marvel.
Like
I would not put it past Marvel.
It's not Doomsday, it's Doom's Minutes. There is one other story here that we'll get to, and that's where the hell is this story? It's somewhere. I got it. Is that it? Where the hell did it go?
Thunderbolts, right?
Yeah, I'm looking for it, but it's like the actual article itself. I'm trying to find it. Hold on a second. I have it brought up, but it's not coming up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me just. Apparently, there's a whole scene with post credit scene, and I saw that article there for a second, but now it's Gonski, and I'm curious what they were going to do with him.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. I have it. All right. Okay. Give me a second. It's just the whole thing running this way. All right. Here it is. So Thunderbolts writer reveals the scraps post-credit scene in and Baron Zemo's scrapped role in the actual movie itself. Okay. So here is the article. This is again from Comic Book Movie. Thunderbolts writer Eric Pearson has revealed scrap plans for a post-credit scenes featuring the return of Daniel Bruhl's Baron Zemo. In the comic book, Zemo assembles the Thunderbolts when the Avengers go missing. However, while his team is secretly a group of supervillains masquerading as heroes, they eventually decided to put their evil-doing ways behind them and become heroes. There have been other iterations of the group, but Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts is very much its own thing. That's evident from the absence of Zemo, the Captain America Civil War villain, who was brought more in line with his comic book counterpart in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It turns out that in an earlier draft of Thunderbolts, Zemo was going to be revealed as the one pulling the strings in a post-credit scene. Talking to Screen Rant, Eric Pearson explained how the villain once factored into the story. He said, I think there was a version of a tag written a long time ago, kind of revealing who's behind it all. It was revealed that Baron Zemo was pulling some strings from prison or whatever. I might just be inventing things now, but I feel like there might have been a version where Zemo had broken out and swapped places with someone, maybe Valentina's assistant, and he was working with a widow mask under. But I think those ideas lived for one iteration and then died. sometimes people think that we're zigzagging on purpose, and it's like, no, we know that Zemo is very integral to a different story version of them. He's part of putting them together, and we negated the need for that with our own premise. But we always think back to the comics. There's always a discussion of, well, if there's a way to cleverly include Zemo in this, he absolutely should be there. But in this story that we wanted to tell and that we fell in love with, Yelena was central, and all these people find their way through her. And then we were introduced to Bob as well. So just didn't fit. We didn't want to just have a feathered fish. Had Mel been swapped out for a male assistant who Zemo was posing as, then yes, a Stinger could have quite easily revealed that he'd been pushing Val in certain directions to benefit his master plan. The question is, what would Zemo had been plotting, and when and where would his story have continued? The Thunderbolts established the team as the MCU's new Avengers, but there's nothing to say that these heroes will get their own movie beyond assembling in Doomsday next year. As for Zemo, it seems the door is still open for a story to continue, though he remains locked up in the raft, where he can potentially spend time getting to know another character who ties to the Thunderbolts, Red Hulk. I think this is probably, first of all, it doesn't seem like it was very, I shouldn't say real, but it was like, yeah, it was an idea that we had at one point, but then the story went somewhere else in the writer's room. And yes, you could have had him as the assistant. And I've been hesitating saying this, but I want to be honest. The assistant was my least favorite part of the movie. I don't think
you don't like Mel?
I didn't think she was great. I didn't think she was great. But she was originally supposed to be yes, which probably would have been better, but
yeah, but look how small the role was. I'm saying Ayo was like, I'm not going to be that.
Well, I don't think that's why I think it was scheduling why she couldn't do it.
Come on, man. Come on. Stop it.
Fair. But anyway, irrelevant whether it was her or not, Mel or Zemo, you could have had that play into it, but then it kind of takes away how clever Valentina is. First of all,
I think it's such a dumb. It would have killed it. It would have killed it because the thing what we've both been talking about, Kristian, is the best use of Valentina in an MCU film, and having a guy pulling her strings. I don't think it would have worked. It would have really undercut it, and there's no way JLD would have said yes to that. There's just no way, because Julia Louis-Dreyfus is very clear about the roles she wants to play now and the roles that she wants to portray on screen. And I think this is something that she would not have been a fan of for Valentina, because Valentina needs to be her own kind of separate type of villain. But if you have someone else pulling her strings, then it removes individuality and her own independent choices. And I think that's terrible to do to a character this late in the game who's already been introduced multiple times being in control of stuff. So yeah, I like that they didn't go with this. But Zemo, I know people in the comics comic fans want to see Zemo, but there's more story. Him and Red Hulk, that's an interesting team.
The question is like, what are they going to do and where does it go? Because and we're going to read this article in a second. We still don't know where the MCU is going.
Yeah.
Like after this. Are we going to see these characters ever again, or any of these Red Hulk or any of these people? Because it's going to be X-Men kind of heavy. Yeah. So we'll see that where that goes. But overall, I mean, the other someone that could have been, if you wanted to downplay Valentina, like and continue with something you set up and hasn't paid off, is Sharon Carter.
Yeah. Oh my God.
What where did she go?
Yeah.
She had this big, huge reveal of how evil she was.
Yeah.
Where'd she go? In the same way that they're like, I remember her and Eternals. Well, try not to remember them. That's basically what Marvel's doing now. It's like, don't worry about that storyline. And Secret Invasion, nothing. That never happened. It didn't.
It's all a culling. A culling is coming. They're all going to be gone.
For the spoilers, everybody. For the spoilers, put your thoughts in there. What do you guys think? Do you like this? Did you like the movie? What parts played in there? Put your thoughts in there. And as I always say, you can watch this on the replay. You can watch this on our Clips channel, which I hope you're doing right now. Subscribe to that Clips channel. Really important. I appreciate it. And that is that when it comes to spoilers.